I'm ready. Let's do this. Screw you, jeans. That'll do. Hello, been a busy day. Stressed out, very busy. I am popping down to one of my favourite places in the world. Rather than going out and eating food, I'm going to pop down, breathe a bit of fresh air. Here we are. I am down Castle Bay. Woo! So one thing that I think is really useful to know is to learn and be aware of our habits. I keep looking at over here. Be aware of your habits. So, what's a habit? I hear you ask. Or how are they formed? Well, habits are formed when something will happen, which is like a cue or trigger. You take an action and it results in, the result is pleasurable. That tends to be a strong habit forming thing, because if the action that we took was not pleasurable, we wouldn't keep taking it, would we? Okay. Are they? Oh yeah. So some examples could be, well, an example of, the alarm clock going up. We used to, we'll set in our alarm clock for that to go off. It goes off. The action that we take is to get up and then turn it off. And either, a useful habit would be to get up at that point. But quite often I just snooze it. Like 10 more minutes. And that results in a favourable outcome. That should result in a favourable outcome. Another cue could be you're stressed. If you're feeling stressed and wound up, you might drink a cup of coffee, or you might have a cigarette. That calms you down, you feel a bit better. The outcome, less stressed. But if you're doing that long term, the outcome could also be shitty health. So we think we've got free will, but actually our lives are made up of all these tiny little habits. And originally, at the end of the day, if you're just going to have one cigarette, or you're just going to have one chocolate or one thing, that's not the end of the world. But if it's something really pleasurable to your brain, then you end up going for that. And if you go for it too many times, suddenly it's a neural pathway in your brain. And before you know it, you're like, it's Friday. I feel weird if I don't go to the supermarket to get some ice cream, because that's what happens on a Friday. Yeah, so the food companies, they know that. That's why they make their food highly palatable, full of sugar, full of fat, because the combination of sugar and fat, that's why chocolate's got this hold on us, because that combination of sugar and fat is almost impossible to resist. Go into the petrol station. How many people go to the petrol station to buy petrol and end up leaving with the 3 for 2s or the chocolate? Because you go in through the door, and on the right, it's like a wall of chocolate. It's like 3 meters long. No one needs that much chocolate in their shop. It's ridiculous. And because in the supermarket they used to have that and they can't because of the kids, now it's like, well, it seems perfectly fine. In the petrol station, God love him, some petrol stations do have fruit. But like, who's paying £1 for a bloody banana? I'm not. So yeah, habits. These habits. So knowing how habits work, a really good book is The Power of Habit, and I will link the book in the box below. But yeah, you don't need to read the book, but it certainly helped me. It was brilliant. So yeah, Power of Habit. So I just wanted to make it clear, the way habits are formed, you have a cue or a trigger, something happens, or it's a day of the week or something. You take an action to that cue, which results in something pleasurable. That's how, and if you do that over and over and over again, that forms a pathway in your brain. So for example, if you're stressed in work, or no, actually say it's 3 p.m. in work, and 3 p.m. is when the biscuits come out, and everyone in work goes, fancy, let's have a cup of coffee, and you always have biscuit with your coffee. That, because the result is yummy biscuit. But if you do that too often, you'll be associating that biscuit with coffee or that biscuit with 3 p.m. So 3 p.m. will come and you think, oh, fancy biscuit, I can't get away from eating biscuits. And the trouble is, when you have that habit and you realise if you're trying to lose weight that you're like, oh, actually, I need to cut down on the biscuits, it can be really, really hard to kick that because your brain is gone, but it is 3 p.m. You always have a biscuit at 3 p.m. What's wrong with you? So it's just to know that the first few times that 3 p.m. hits and you're not having that biscuit, your brain is going to want you to have that biscuit. Your brain is going to be like, but it's essential for your survival. Have the biscuit. That's why people go a bit cravey and it a bit like it's just really difficult to get out of certain habits. But all you do is, what you do is you replace it for something else. You don't go, I mustn't have the biscuit. You go, right, okay, well, instead of a biscuit, I'm going to have something else. And to begin with, for me, what helped me with getting over the food stuff is I would just make a better choice. And one of my little mantras was just make a better choice. So a better choice could be a lower calorie biscuit, or just have one biscuit instead of two. And after a while of that, I go, okay, well, maybe I will have, you know, a piece of fruit instead of a biscuit, or maybe I'll do away with 3 o'clock. For me, the 3 o'clock munchies is a real thing. I just made sure I was busy at 3 o'clock, and then by 4 o'clock I'd forgotten about it. But there's stuff you can do, you know, it's up to you what you do. But that is how you change your habit. You can't change the cue. You can't change the outcome. You can't stop 3 p.m. rolling around. You can't stop yourself ever being stressed again. You can't stop it ever being a Friday again. The only thing you can control is the action that you take. So instead of taking the unhelpful action, you take a different action. What you don't do is try and not do the action because you're going to want to do it. So just take a different action, like a healthier, just take a healthier choice. For a little walk back at the car. I feel a bit nicer, I feel a bit better. So that's cool, that's better, and at least that stopped me from wanting to have chocolate, which I did want earlier. If you liked today's video, if you could subscribe, if you could like, that'll help me be able to make more videos. That'd be awesome. If you could share it as well, that'd be great, or let people know about it. If it, you know, people that you think might find this information useful, let me know with a little like and a subscribe, and let them know. Yeah, and yeah, pleased that I've lost weight this week. Very happy with that. And I will do more next week. Let's see if I can lose some more weight next week, although weight isn't everything. So see you next week for some more video.